Good evening and I welcome you all to the Zoology class of class 8. I believe in the name of Jesus that each one of you is good and great. So before getting into today's class, let me introduce about myself. This is Bensi and I will be teaching you botany and zoology. Actually in your textbook you have one book called biology book, but in your schedule for timetable you have botany and zoology has separate periods, right? Why so? Because botany is all we need to be focused about plants, and in zoology classes we will be learning about animals. Okay, so even if you go to a botanical garden you can see full of plants, restricted only to plant learning, right? So similarly in our classes too we are going to focus fully on plants in botany classes, and in zoology classes we will be studying only about animals. Clear? So our first lesson in zoology class will be chapter 4 and it is called control and coordination. What is going to be controlled? What is going to be coordinated? We will learn in this lesson. Clear? So we will start this lesson with an example. What can you see from this image? There is a fire and there is a pan on the fire and you see a man holding the pan, right? So how long do you think this man can hold in the same position? At some point what he will do? He will just release his hands or he will take away his hands from the pan. Why? Who told him to take the hand out? Nobody, right? He himself takes out. Why? His hand is not burnt, right? Why did he take then? It is a involuntary action. Involuntary action means it happens without his decision. Before he decides, he will take off because the heat will pass on to his hand. Okay, so he is responding to the heat. So this action is called response. So which action? When there is heat, he responds by taking away his hand. So this action is called response. And this word stimulus denotes what stimulates a man to respond. What stimulates a man to respond? What stimulates him to respond? The heat stimulates him to respond. So here the heat is called stimulus and the response, taking away his hand, is response. So what is the stimulus here? The heat is the stimulus and taking away the hand is the response. So these two terms I have explained and hope you have understood, but there are two definitions for these terms. If somebody asks you a definition or in the exam when they ask you a definition, you should not be telling all these stories, a fire, a pan, a man and all these stories you cannot tell, right? It should be defined in a proper form with the keywords. For that you have to memorize the definitions. It is mandatory that you memorize the definitions which is full of keywords and which is a short sentence. But it may sound, so telling a story, explaining is very easy, but compared to it when you learn in the form of definition it takes time, but when you understand and learn it's going to be very easy for you. So the definition of stimulus tells like this: changes in the environment to which an organism reacts. So I'll explain you word by word. What is the change here? The changes is a pan was initially cold in nature. Every time normally a pan is cold, right? It is not hot until you heat it. So initially it was cold and then the change denotes the temperature rise from cold to high temperature. So the change here is the increase in temperature, that it has become hot. From cold to hot is the change. In the environment, what is the environment here? Environment do not denote the atmosphere. Environment denotes the pan. Where there was a change, what was the media? Here the environment is only the pan, because that is what underwent the change. So the change in the pan, the pan becoming heat, to which an organism reacts. What is the output of this? What a man does? The man reacts by taking away his hand. When there is a change in the temperature of the pan, the man reacted by taking away his hand. So that's what is defined, changes in the environment to which an organism reacts. Clear now? Easy now, right? So you repeat the sentence twice or thrice until it gets registered well in your mind. You will not write stories in any of your exams. You are going to memorize the definitions. Clear? So the next definition is for response. What does it say? The reaction of the organism to the stimulus. The reaction of the organism to the stimulus. What is the reaction? The reaction was taking the hand away from the pan. The reaction was taking away the hand from the pan of the organism, that is the man, to the stimulus. To what? Because of what he took away his hand? Because of the heat. So the stimulus is the heat and the reaction was taking away his hand. So you can define response as the reaction of the organism to the stimulus. A man taking away his hand for the heat is the response. This is one example I have explained in detail. There are many more examples in your textbook. Say for example, cold is also a stimulus. How is cold a stimulus? Suppose you go to a very cold place, what will happen? You start shivering, right? You start shivering because of the cold temperature. Here, what induces you? What stimulates you? The cold, no? So, cold is the stimulus here. Cold is the stimulus here and you shiver, right? That is the response. The response to cold temperature is shivering. That is one more example given. There is another example called touch. What will you do if somebody touches you? Suddenly you react, right? Either you turn to him or you ask, why did you call me? You respond to the touch. So the stimulus is the man touching you or somebody touching you, and the response is you react, you respond to them, is the second example. The third example given is smell. So smell in the sense both the good smell, the sweet odor, and the bad smell also comes under smell. Suppose in your kitchen your mom makes biryani. Okay, so what you do? You will be attracted towards the smell and automatically you will go to the kitchen to check if the biryani is ready, right? So the smell draws you towards the food. So what is the stimulus here? The smell is the stimulus. What is the response? You go to the kitchen, that is the response. So smell is one more example. Okay, smell in the bad sense. Suppose if there is a very bad odor, will you stay in that place for long? No, right? What you do? You just walk away from that place, that is the response. So for a bad smell, you move away, that is the response. So smell is the stimulus and moving away is the response. So now are you clear about the two terms, stimulus and the response? We'll move to the next topic about further more about stimulus and response. See, you do everything, you respond when there is a stimulus, but without anybody's instruction you are doing this. Not even you yourself think whether to, when you touch a fire, a candle or something, you don't even think whether you should take away your hand or you should keep it as such, because within that fraction, before you think, you respond. Then what is controlling this activity? There should be something which is controlling this activity without your knowledge, right? What are they? There are two heroes. One is called nervous system and the other is called endocrine system. So only these two systems in your body are controlling everything than you. You are the boss of your body, right? Apart from your control, these two, like nervous and endocrine system, controls your body. So because of its instruction only, you are removing your hand away before you decide whether to remove or not. Okay, so nervous system and endocrine system. I guess you know, you must have heard about your nervous system. And endocrine system, it may be a new term to you. I am not aware about your levels. So this nervous system, actually there are two types of nervous system in your body. Nervous system is of two types. What are they? The central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. CNS stands for central nervous system. And one more type of nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Why do you call us central nervous system? Central is something very main, right? If you call something a central station, it means that would be the biggest station or the most important station of a city or a town, right? So this central nervous system is the main part of the nervous system. That's why it is called central nervous system. So what are those main parts? There are two parts coming under CNS. One is the brain, the second one is the spinal cord. Brain, you know, where is your brain? Somewhere inside your head, you know, right? So this is brain. And spinal cord, if you talk about spinal cord, I don't know how many of you know where is spinal cord. Behind your neck, if you touch and see, you can sense a bone starting, a rod like bone starting. Okay, so that bone elongates down till your hip region. So it starts behind your neck and elongates down till your back until your hip level. So this long bone which appears or which senses like a rod is called the spinal cord. So where is the spinal cord? The back long bone is called the spinal cord. So this brain and the spinal cord, they are two different parts of the body, no? But together you can address them by a term called as central nervous system, because all your nerves are controlled by these two. Suppose if a person's brain is damaged, though he is alive, he cannot control anything, he will just be bedridden, right? Because it is the main part of the nervous system. Similarly, in some accidents, some people will have injury in the spinal cord, then also even if his legs have no fracture, he will be bedridden because he cannot, his nervous system cannot function. That's why both of them are called the central nervous system. What is this peripheral nervous system? When I was a small kid, maybe in my lower grades of 6 or something, when I hear this word nervous system, I just think that all nerves in your body makes the nervous system. So obviously I don't know about you, my thought process was like that. So all nerves of my study about all the nerves of my body was the nervous system, I thought. So actually study about all nerves of the system is called peripheral nervous system. I was partially right maybe. So it is called as peripheral nervous system. So what is peripheral nervous system? All the nerves of your body is called as peripheral nervous system. So that's all about nervous system. A little more in the form of a picture you will see in the next diagram. So here the next one, endocrine system. I think this term may be new to you. So endocrine system is something which has glands. What are glands? My guess is maybe you know the names of glands like salivary glands and tear glands, right? Do you know? So what are salivary glands? Something which produces saliva is called as salivary glands, and what produces tears, they are called as tear glands, right? But in endocrine system, you don't have salivary glands and tear glands. See, when I give examples, right, students just stick on to the examples, and the exam paper, if I ask what are the glands of the endocrine system, they write saliva and tears. No, that is just for your understanding about the glands. I am giving these examples. So about the glands of the endocrine system, we have to study it. I have not started it. Okay. So there are some other glands of glands like your salivary and tear glands. There are 5 more glands in the endocrine system. So as the glands function itself, it will produce something. Okay, so these glands, what will they produce? They are producing a substance called as hormones. So what is this hormone? I think these days, no, even a common man, an uneducated man also is aware of this word hormones. They tell that don't eat chickens because it has hormones. So even common man know this term these days, right? Hormones. So those hormones, where are they produced? These endocrine glands only produces those hormones. So I don't know if you are aware of this. Just register in your mind. From where are the hormones of your body produced? They are produced by the endocrine glands. Okay, so what do they do after production? Okay, there is a gland, it produces lots of hormones. Will it store for future? No. Immediately after production, it will push away into the blood. So hormones are move into the blood as soon as it is produced. Okay, what blood has to do with the hormones? It has nothing to do with the hormones. So it will sense where the hormone is required. See, if something is produced in your body, it is for a purpose, right? Some part of your body may need that hormone. That's why the gland is producing. Okay, so this blood will safely deliver to that place wherever the hormone is required. So that is all about stimulus and responses. So in this slide, you will learn about the diagrammatic representation of the nervous system. We have studied about 2 types of nervous system, right? What are they? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. That I'll show you in the diagram. See, there are full of nerves, right? The blue color all represent nerves. So as I told you, nerves include peripheral nervous system. So what are the important nervous system parts? I told you 2 parts of the central nervous system. Do you remember what are they? The brain and the spinal cord, and these both make, what do they make? The central nervous system, that is the CNS. So brain and the spinal cord, I told you, no, the long rod like bone from the neck till the hip is the spinal cord. So the brain and the spinal cord contributes central nervous system. And then the peripheral nervous system includes all the nerves of your body. Right. So there is one more term in your book called as cranial nerves. What is that? Cranial nerves. Cranial nerves are the nerves of your face. If your face has nerves, then it is called as cranial nerves. See? So all these blue nerves are represented by the term peripheral nervous system, and cranial nerves, what did I tell? It is the nerves of your body. It has a special name for the nerves of your body, of your face, for your face, called as cranial nerves. You don't call by the ordinary name nerve, you call the nerves of your face as cranial nerves. So that's all about the diagrammatic representation of the nervous system. Next, we learn about endocrine system, that is the glands. What did I tell you already? Endocrine system is full of glands, and here in your textbook there are 5 glands given as examples, and to remember those 5 glands I will tell you a short trick. Just remember at HTTP. What is HTTP? It's a transfer protocol, right? So with this you can remember the names of the glands. It's easier for you to remember. At, it resembles like A, right? So you can call it as adrenaline. A for adrenaline. Then for H, it is hypothalamus. Thalamus is something related to brain. Okay, so hypothalamus. thalamus. What is hypo and what is hyper? Sometimes we call some students who are so active as hyper, because they won't be sitting at a place and they'll be moving about, right? So we call them as hyper, which means more than the normal level. What is hypo? Hypo is below. So what did I tell you? Thalamus is brain and hypo is below. So somewhere below the surface of the brain you can find this gland called as hypothalamus. Then one more T you have, right? T is for thyroid. This must be commonly known to you, because many of the mothers or other ladies will have this thyroid problem. So this must be familiar to you, right? So where is this gland found? It is found in the neck region. I'll teach you where it is found separately. So one more T stands for testis. What is testis? It is the male reproductive organ. Okay, so the last P stands for pituitary. So spell these words again and again so that it registers in your mind. So what are the 5 glands you are going to study about? Adrenal, H for hypothalamus, T for thyroid, one more T for testis, and the last P for pituitary. So you are going to learn now where they are found in your body. So there is a human body given and you are going to learn where are these glands found. So endocrine system is full of glands and you should know, at least for your level, you should know the location of these glands. So the first gland is A for adrenaline. This gland adrenaline is just above the kidney. So you can see most of us know right? What is that kidney? A bean shaped structure. It will be like a beans. The shape, if you see it is like a bean, right? So wherever you find bean shaped structure, it means that is called as kidney. And above the kidney, I told you the location of adrenaline is above the kidney. So clear now, where is the adrenaline? Just above the kidney. And then there is one speciality you will be learning in your higher classes, but just for your information I will tell you. This one, during fight, that is when two people fight, they become so arrogant, right? The energy what they will have will be more than the normal levels. When especially among boys, they become so arrogant and they fight like with their full strength. From where this strength comes? It comes from the hormone secreted by this gland, that is the adrenaline, during a fight or fright. What is fright? When you are so afraid of something, you feel like your stomach is upset, right? It is because during fright or when you are in fear also, this hormone secretes so much. Okay, this all is for your information. It's not given in your textbook. Just know something special. That's why you feel like your stomach is upset, because it is somewhere close to your stomach area, the kidney. So it is called as adrenaline, that is located above the surface of the kidney. So next is hypothalamus. When I was explaining this term itself, I told you it is relevant to the brain and hypo is below the brain. So thalamus is brain and hypo is below the surface of the brain. So the location of hypothalamus is just below the surface of the brain. And the next hormone is thyroid. It is found in the neck region. So where is the exact location of thyroid? It is in the neck region. That's why people with thyroid will have the neck a bit swollen in size. It will be bigger or larger in size because the gland becomes swollen or it becomes enlarged or bigger in size for the thyroid patients. Then testis. So pituitary. Pituitary is also located in the brain, but you can see the difference that pituitary is in the lower regions of the brain. See, for hypothalamus you can find in the upper regions, that is in the below the surface of the brain, but in the upper region, whereas pituitary is found in the lower region of the brain. So keep in mind always hypothalamus and pituitary are in the brain region, and thyroid is in the neck region, adrenaline is above the kidney. So one more, you have testis, right? So testis is found in male reproductive organs. Testis is a male reproductive organ, I told you. So what will happen to females? The hormones produced by females is something different from the males, right? So female hormones are different, so it is produced by a different gland called as ovary. So this is the picture of a man, so it is mentioned as testis. If this is a female, then the gland relevant to reproduction is ovary. So testis in male and ovary in the female. So these are all the glands given in your textbook about the endocrine system. So what have we studied? The endocrine system has 5 types of glands as per your textbook. There are many more. For your levels, just 5 they have given. It's enough that you learn these 5 thoroughly. Okay, so what are they? Adrenaline above the kidney, hypothalamus and pituitary in the upper and lower surface of the brain, and thyroid in the neck, and testis, if it is in male, it is the male reproductive organ testis, and if in female, it is called the ovary. So that's all we have studied about the endocrine system glands. The next topic is neurons. What is neurons? Neurons are generally called the functional units of the nervous system. Why they are called units of the nervous system? Suppose if you are building a house, you call brick as the units of the house, because a complete building is all packed up of what? Bricks, right? The building is all packed up of bricks. So similarly, your nervous system, that is the nerves, are all made up of a small unit called as neurons. So what is a neuron? This is the structure of the neuron. So what is a neuron? The functional unit of nervous system is the neurons. I repeat again, the functional unit of the nervous system. Why do we use the word functional? Because only in their presence the nervous system can function, otherwise it will not function. So they are called functional units of the nervous system. So this nervous system, the mechanism or how it operates, can be compared to this picture. You may be wondering, wow, what is there for a blender to do in a biology class? Just to make you understand better about a neuron, I have quoted this as an example. So you must have seen in your house, right? If there is a blender or a mixer, or you call it as mixie, there is a power supply and there is a wire connected to the mixie, and through the wire, when you switch on, what will happen? Current will pass through the wire. So similarly, this is compared to the neurons. So here the wire is compared to the neurons. So this side you have brain, which gives instructions to your body, and this side is the body. So how? So your brain tells you do this, and your brain tells you wave your right hand and your hand will move. If your brain tells keep quiet, then you will keep quiet. Okay, so how the instructions are carried from the brain to the parts of the body through something. Here how we use wire for a machine to operate. Similarly, for the brain to deliver the message, there is something called as neurons. So this is the neuron. So there is a neuron like the wire. There is a neuron here, but in the example, what did I tell you? When there is current passing through the wire is not moving, there is a wire, but what is moving? Current is moving about or passing about for the device, right? So similarly here also there are neurons, but neurons don't move about here and there. They transmit something called as nerve impulses. Just like the current passing through the wire, the nerve impulses will pass through the neurons. From where to where? From the brain till the other body parts, because when your brain instructs, it will use neuron like a wire, and it will pass just like the current passes, the nerve impulses, the technical term is nerve impulses, will pass through the neurons and it will reach the body parts, and the body parts will react. So the actual signal is in the form of nerve impulses. Clear? So, I will repeat again, just like how a wire can make current to pass through it and a mixie or a blender or any electronic device operates. Similarly, like the brain, when it passes a message to any body part, the neuron will act as a source for carrying the nerve impulses. Clear? I will tell you again, brain sends a signal to body part for which you need neuron like a wire and nerve impulses like the current which passes through the wire. So, nerve impulses pass through the neurons and carry the message from the brain to the body parts. So, the body parts will respond or they will react. So, this is all about neurons. So, in this slide you will learn about the diagrammatic representation of the nervous system. We have studied about two types of nervous system, right? What are they? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. That I will show you in the diagram. See, there are full of nerves, right? The blue color all represent nerves. So, as I told you, nerves include peripheral nervous system. So, what are the important nervous system parts? I told you two parts of the central nervous system. Do you remember what are they? The brain and the spinal cord, and these both make, what do they make? The central nervous system, that is the CNS. So, brain and the spinal cord, I told you, the long rod like a bone from the neck till the hip is the spinal cord. So, the brain and the spinal cord contributes central nervous system. And then the peripheral nervous system includes all the nerves of your body, right. So, there is one more term in your book called as cranial nerves. What is that? Cranial nerves. Cranial nerves are the nerves of your face. If your face has nerves, then it is called as cranial nerves. See? So, all these blue nerves are represented by the term peripheral nervous system, and cranial nerves, what did I tell? It is the nerves of your body. It has a special name for the nerves of your body, of your face, for your face, called as cranial nerves. You don't call by the ordinary name nerve, you call the nerves of your face as cranial nerves. So, that's all about the diagrammatic representation of the nervous system. So, this is the last part of the lesson. I am going to finish it. I think you will be exceeding the limit of 30 minutes in this video, but yeah, I will finish it off like the structure of the neuron. So, the detailed structure of the neuron. What all a neuron has? Neuron has three main parts. The first part is called as cell body, and the second part is called dendrites, and one more part you have, it is called as axons. So, what are the three parts of the neuron? Cell body, dendrites and axons. Cell body, dendrites and axons. So, in cell body, you see a circle in the center, right? From your small age, before you study about a cell all, maybe in your grade 5 or 6, you must have seen the structure of cell, and whatever cell it is, plant cell or animal cell, whatever cell, inside the cell there will be a shaded portion with a circle. So, that shaded portion is this green portion represented, okay. That is called the nucleus. So, nucleus is the part of the cell holding the genetic material, that is the DNA or the RNA. So, the nucleus of any cell holds DNA or the RNA. In this case, the neuron also has a nucleus, and this blue portions or lavender color which is shaded is called as cytoplasm. So, nucleus and the cytoplasm together is called as cell body. The first part, cell body, comprises of the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So, nucleus plus cytoplasm is equal to cell body. So this cell body has another name. The name is called cyton. What is cyton? It is one more name given to this part called the cell body. So are you clear with the first part of the neuron? What was the first part? It is cell body, right? So cell body is equal to, remember as a formula, nucleus plus cytoplasm. Now let's move on to the second part, that is dendrite. So these branches are called as dendrites. What are dendrites? The branches are called as dendrites. To explain it further, you can also call it like this. Dendrites are extensions of the cytoplasm. See, if you see inside the dendrites also, you can find this blue color region, that is the cytoplasm. Can you see? So that's why it is called the extensions. It is extended further and branched to form a structure called as dendrites. So the two qualities are, first of all, it is an extended cytoplasm. Since the cytoplasm extends further in the form of branches, you can call it as extension of cytoplasm. And the second property is they are highly branched structures. See, throughout you can see several branches, no? So they are called as branched structures. This has a special function. Which one? Dendrites have a special function. So this function is it will carry and then it will transmit the nerve impulses. You have studied about nerve impulses, right? Do you remember? Like the current, the nerve impulse will pass from the brain to all parts of your body, right? So which one of the neuron is doing that? It is exactly the dendrites. They carry as well as they transmit. Transmit means it will give. It will receive and it will give. So it receives and transmits. From where it will receive? Actually this structure, no, it is a repetitive structure, which means the same structure is found here as well as the same structure is found back also. It is like a long chain, like repeatedly will have the same structure. So this one will receive from this structure of the previous neuron and transmit it to the next neuron's cell body. Clear? Because what will come next? The next neuron will have cell body here, right? So, and the previous neuron will have this structure here. So, it will receive it from the previous neuron and transmit it to the next neuron. What it will transmit? Nerve impulses. So, the function of dendrites is to receive and transmit nerve impulses. Then you have the last one, axon. Can you see the blue portion? Single long one. So you can describe them as long and it is single. See, these are all many in number, no? But axons are single in number and they are long fibrous structures. Okay. So what is their function? Their function is they will only transmit, they will not receive, because this has already received from the previous cell, right? Which one? Dendrites had received from the previous one and it will transmit, but the structure of dendrites will end here, right? So what transmits further? It is the axons which will transmit further to the next cell. Okay, so the function of dendrites is it will receive and transmit to the next neuron, but the function of axon is it will just transmit. It will only give the impulses from the to the next neuron. So the function of axons is it will transmit the impulses to the next neuron. So why it has to transmit from one neuron to another? Only then until it reaches the body parts. So what is giving initially? Brain, right? So the brain gives the signal to each neuron and like a chain each neuron will pass the message and until it reach the body part. Say for example my hand. So from my brain till my hand there will be many neurons connected, and then the message will be passed, the nerve impulse will be passed from each neuron, and finally when it reach my hand, what I will do? I will take away my hand, because the brain has sent me nerve impulses in the form of signals telling me to take away my hand. This is how it works. You will be learning in detail more in your higher grades. Okay, so now we will see the structure. The next part, the yellow color covering of the axon is called mycelial sheath, myelin sheath. So the yellow portion covering the axon, a protective sheath, is called myelin sheath. And one more structure you have. See, there are further branches and it ends in a bulb like structure. See, all the ends, it is round in nature, no? That bulb like structure is called as synaptic bulb. So what is the bulb like structure? Called as synaptic bulb. Why it is called synaptic bulb? There is one more mechanism or one more term called as synapsis. S-Y-N-A-P-T-I-C. So is synaptic, synapsis is S-Y-N-A-P-S-I-S, synapsis. So what is synapsis? It is a junction. Synapsis is a junction between what and what? Between the synaptic bulb and the cell body of the next neuron. I told you, similarly, the one more neuron will be placed in the next side, next to it. Okay, so here obviously what you will have, this portion will be here, right? So that is junction. Synapsis is the junction between the synaptic cell bulb of the first neuron and the cell body of the next neuron. So what is synapsis? It is the junction between synaptic bulb of first neuron with the cell body of the next neuron. So this is all about the structure of a neuron. So with this, today's class is all done, and now we will go to the homework part. So every day I am going to give you a homework. Today I will start with one single question. Okay, so what you are going to do, whenever I give you a homework, you complete that and you send me the answer by WhatsApp. I will give you the number also. You are going to send me the answer. Okay. So in the next class, I will announce the name of the student who has sent me the first right answer. So for your today's homework, turn to page number 71 in your book, in your biology book. Turn to page number 71 and you have a first question. The central nervous system mainly consists of the brain and the neurons. If your answer is wrong, you will rewrite the sentence with the correct answer and send me by WhatsApp. Okay. So your homework will be question number 1, page number 71, and to this WhatsApp number you will send me, and in the next class I will be announcing the name of the student, he or she, who has sent me the first right answer. So now immediately what you are going to do, finish off your homework and then move from this place. Okay. So until I meet you in my next class, bye bye and take care.